I'm Debbie Godfrey, and welcome to Season 2 of the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast, where I'll be answering your questions about positive parenting. So sit back and listen to what some parents have asked and what my suggestions are for them. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and give us a great review if you like this Pep Talks podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and happy parenting.
Question number one, in the morning when we have a bit more of a time crunch, it always seems to be constantly telling them over and over, brush your hair, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, get dressed. If I say it once, they forget or they ignore me. And when you're in a time crunch, how can I best manage that? Okay, so remember, you guys, and I think I emailed one of you about this too, that the more specific you are in describing the challenge, the more specific I can be in helping you. So with this one, when it's a question in general about how do you get the morning routine to go, I'm going to, give you the answer of making a routine, sitting down with them and saying, hey, you guys, seems like every morning I'm having to say brush your teeth, brush your hair, and I'm just tired of being the morning policeman. Why don't we come up with a schedule or a system or some way that you guys can get what you need done without me having to be in charge of it? So let's sit down and brainstorm all the things that you need to do, and then tell me how can you best make that happen, and what do you need from me? So that's my general answer to this, is to create a better schedule. And the other thing about the time crunch, and this is really interesting, so you get up every morning and you have to go to work at a certain time? Yes. Is that what the deal is?
So
I think you're on mute.
Val goes to work, and then I stay with the kids and I bring them to daycare. So that was more my question. Normally it ends up being a bit of a time crunch for me by the time we get out the door and get over to the school.
Okay, because you have to be at work, or because they have to be at school?
Yeah, I need to be at work by 9 o'clock.
Okay. So here's the thing. Kids are on kid time zone, and we parents are on parent time zone, and they're usually not in sync. And what happens is kids know when we're under that time pressure and that time crunch, and they get worse, right? Which is what we all notice. The more in a rush and the more freaked out we are about what time it is, the worse they resist or drag their heels or drive us crazy. And it's just natural. They know they can irk us that way. So one of the things that working parents find is really, really successful here is spending, I don't know what you'd want to call it, eternal time in the morning. So telling the girls, you know what, I'm going to spend, and pick a time that seems reasonable, like 8 to 8:15 every morning is just going to be playtime with you guys. And we're just going to hang out and play whatever, we'll play a game, we'll hang out and chat, and have 5, 10, 15 minutes, and honestly, 5 is fine, of non-pressured, non-directed, non-task-oriented, just hanging out on the floor and chill time. And it's amazing what a difference just a little bit of non-pressured time will do with the kids. So that's one idea as well, is to just throw in there some downtime in the morning, because it's go, and it never stops. And so stop it. Stop the crazy merry-go-round in the morning and just sit down and play, and it shifts everybody's attitude. The other thing that can work, I'm just trying to think this through, with you having to be at work at 9. Yeah, that's a tough one, because sometimes, like I know with my kids, what happens is, if you're more worried about them, like let's say they need to get to school on time, which they don't yet, but they will when they get to school age. What happens is we get more interested in them being on time than they are, and so they lag that way too. So letting go of them having to be somewhere, letting go of you making sure they're at school on time and putting them in charge of it. You guys need to be at school on time, and what are you going to do to make that happen? And if it doesn't happen, bummer, what's going to happen? When they're in school, a lot of times they get tardies, or there's some kind of consequences at school that if you pull yourself out of it, and they experience those consequences, that can often help with getting them to get more motivated to get to school on time, because they don't like having those consequences every day or every 2 days or anything either. But I guess that doesn't really apply here because it's you that needs to be to work. So I guess another thing would be, we talked about last night the steps for resolving conflict. And so I would sit down and go through those steps maybe with them and say, here's the problem I have. I've got to be at work at 9, and if you guys aren't ready for school, then I get stressed out because I feel like I'm going to be late for work. So let's go through the steps for resolving conflict and see if we can come up with a good plan and work through that with them and see if you can come up with some ideas there. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that or ask about that?
One of the things actually that you mentioned last night, I thought kind of related to that. We sent that email before the call last night.
Okay.
And part of it was I didn't want to nag them about it constantly, right? Like I just want to tell them once and kind of have them do it. And then what you last night is asking them, posing questions to them, asking them about, well, have you done everything to get ready, that kind of thing, instead of instructing them kind of in the way of, okay, these are all the things, the steps that you kind of have to go through, kind of asking them the questions. Do they think that they're ready? Have you done everything, right? Kind of making them think about the things that they need to do to get ready to get out the door.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So what else do you need to do? What's next? I like that. That's a good one too. Does that give you enough for now?
I'm guessing you found today's pep talk valuable, and hopefully it gave you some practical tools and ideas for dealing with your children's behavior. If you'd like to work more deeply on these topics and similar topics, please join me over at my website, positiveparenting.com. I'll put a link in the description box here. I have classes starting all the time, classes that are self-directed where you can listen to lessons on your own time, and also Q&A calls where I answer your questions, just like the parents in these pep talks. So I hope, again, that you will like and share and rate this podcast and help more parents be able to see it and hear it and get help from it. Thanks again, and happy parenting.